Yeah, peace everybody. I'm doing this video today about the controversy surrounding the BET Awards and Lil Nas X promoting depopulation, promoting self-annihilation by traumatizing the black population who happened to be watching by kissing a man, promoting a lifestyle that, according to the Bible, is an abomination, leads to nothing, to nothing, promoting a lifestyle that caused Sodom and Gomorrah to be totally annihilated, but BET have been sold to Viacom, I think about 20 years ago. Bob Johnson, the former owner of BET, sold BET to Viacom for $3 billion. Some of it was stock, some of it was liquid cash, and he took the money and went and brought a basketball team, the Charlotte Bobcats. So he surrendered the souls, the mind, and attention of the black community into the hands of the beast, which is the Caucasians who control Viacom, the Jews, the same people who own MTV. So they need to change the name of BET to MTV. That way people will know what they're getting their hands into. When we see it as BET, we think it's some black controlled entertainment, but it's really something that's controlled by the people who control MTV. And if you're told that it's MTV, then you might be less inclined to tune in and watch it, because they're going to be promoting propaganda and lifestyles that's detrimental to the so-called black population. You have trauma, and in psychology, I studied this. When a person is traumatized, that freezes their growth and it causes them amnesia. Like, you forget about everything that happened prior to the trauma, and you're incapable of moving on from the trauma. So you're stuck in that position of the trauma. And trauma is used to brainwash a person, to reprogram a person or a people if they go under massive trauma, like 9/11. Like, most people can't remember what happened prior to 9/11, or some massive war, or some tragedy, some event that causes trauma, or something that happened to an individual that was traumatic. It causes them to forget. And when in that moment of them forgetting, they can be readjusted. Somebody could write a new code to their behavior, to their mentality, to their philosophy, because of this unexpected trauma. Nobody expected this man to do this in this live, massive stage with millions of people tuning in. Nobody thought that he would traumatize all of these people. And the best way for trauma to happen, if it's unexpected, it's like when boxing, the knockout punch is usually a punch that you don't see coming, knock you out cold, traumatize you. If you expect it, if you see it, you can brace yourself for it. Hold on. But what I would say this is the impact that MTV might have tried to have with this Lil Nas X ploy, this propaganda. You had people like Cardi B and Offset from the Migos promoting the opposite, showing that she was having yet another child, even though the agenda behind Lil Nas X is to convince the so-called black male to be unproductive towards the future, because it's not really possible for two dudes to have a child. It's about depopulation, and all of their other tactics seem to have failed. We had a situation, Madonna and Britney Spears kissed on some award show, and this caused a lot of black women who actually was followers and fans of Madonna to accept that lifestyle. And then we had a situation with the movie Set It Off. Queen Latifah kissed that lady, and that kind of encouraged a lot of black women to become lesbians. And we had another movie with Whoopi Goldberg and Danny Glover. What's that movie called? Whatever that movie's called. With Oprah Winfrey. They did that move. It was a lesbian lady and they kissed in that movie. This was in the 80s. And that tried to encourage the women to join that lifestyle, which will lead to less children being born. And you couple that, you magnify that with the amount of abortion clinics and the promotion of the abortion agenda by the Democrats, such as Joe Biden, you know, convincing the black woman, or W.E.B. Du Bois telling the black woman that if they're poor and if they don't have a certain amount of education, they shouldn't populate. They should kill the children. So if you add all that up, and now the population somehow still is the black population is still growing, even though all of this money, all of these tactics have been aimed at the so-called black woman to convince them to annihilate the children. The black man have been populating with women anyway, having children anyway. So now they're trying to target the young black man with this agenda. And I think this agenda that they're trying to target to the so-called young black man, it won't be as effective as they think, because for the past, I would say, 30 years, we have been seeing black dudes kissing. The Wayans brothers, Marlon, Sean, Wayne, Keenan Wayne, they just been doing that anyway. And you got Birdman and Lil Wayne been doing that. We've been having this conversation anyway. And these dudes just been saying, this is just some tradition they got. It ain't got nothing to do with what they think it is. So we have been already introduced to seeing these people doing these things for the last several decades. Famous people. The Wayans brothers probably the funniest, most successful comedians, probably more successful than Eddie Murphy, and this is what they just been doing anyway. The Wayans brothers been doing that, so I think people won't be as traumatized as BET think they will be traumatized. Like on 106 in Park, Birdman, Lil Wayne did that. And people had this same exact conversation. So it's not a new conversation. It's not something that people haven't been seeing, haven't been discussing, you know. So I think, but these young, super young children who probably never seen the Wayans brothers, who never seen Birdman and Lil Wayne, they might be the targets. But what type of parent would allow their children to watch BET with all of this degrading music that's being played? BET should be seen as MA, mature. A parent shouldn't even let their children watch BET, because I think those are the ones who's targeted with this Lil Nas X propaganda to try to convince the young boys to adjust to that mentality. Like when you growing up and used to watch Bugs Bunny used to always kiss on Elmer Fudd, Daffy Duck. This is what this dude always did. The one who's hunting them, Yosemite Sam. And then he'd just kiss them and then put on a dress. So they've been doing this, trying to convince young children for years that this was something that was cool. Watching these cartoons and they doing this stuff. And now you got a person who's a young artist, singer, rapper, whatever this dude is, Lil Nas X, and just out of nowhere, without any explanation, and these children might not even know or have a previous idea of the past in which this was been going on. They just gonna be probably traumatized and have a clean slate on their mind to be reprogrammed, and they might start imitating that. It might have started happening already. Now, if you get the children at that such an age and they actually grow into their teenage years thinking it's cool to be with a dude, like little like Dwayne Wade is trying to turn his son into a girl. He's only probably 10 or something, 8 years old, forcing his son into that lifestyle. They're trying to do this to a lot of the black boys, so they will not be, for one, having children as a teenager. That's going to reduce the population when you magnify it by millions of young boys who always seem to always have children as teenagers, the teenage pregnancies. That's going to reduce that population, and then they won't be, when they get into their 20s, the early adulthood, and they with a dude, their testosterone might be so low, they probably won't even be able to reproduce, even if they just decide to go back to the heterosexual lifestyle. They spent most of their childhood thinking they was whatever, and it's going to have a devastating effect on the future when you look at when these children grow up, if they actually embrace the philosophy of MTV, BET, this LGBT culture that they're forcing onto us nonstop. So the only thing that could actually prevent this from happening is if the children themselves are rejected. If the children rejected themselves, like this is the only reason we still are around, because the so-called black people are really conservative by nature. It's just some things that we just reject. It's just rejected. It's in our spirit to reject things like this, things that are detrimental to your health, things that are undesirable. Things that are shameful. Black children are very autonomous and intelligent in that aspect. They know exactly what is good and what is not good, what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. And this is like a fail-safe that has been programmed into us, I think, by the Creator. But the beast who wants to annihilate our people, they convince us to commit the abortions, commit the murders, sabotage ourselves. Then they want us to actually participate in an activity that is detrimental to future growth and development as a species, the so-called homosexual activity and lifestyle, which is promoted by Lil Nas X and the Caucasian dominated culture. But that's about it. I want to chime in on this conversation, give an insight. Yeah.